servir como mestre selo de cristal. É doce a rainha, mas amarga o daime que eu bebi para recordar-me, lembrar-me do propósito espiritual. Servir como mestre selo de cristal.
Hello, today I'm gonna tell you about my personal experience with inducing lucid dreaming with the help of the spirit of the marsh snowdrop herb, which is completely legal and can be obtained in the pharmacy, where it is sold as Galantamine. Lucid dreaming means to experience dreams in the same way as you experience them at night while you are fully awake. Also, there will be few words on what is the use anyway to travel with lucid dreaming. How does it compare to traveling in the dream world, for example, with ayahuasca or magic mushrooms? And at the end will be the most important thing, not only for this video, but for all my videos, and that is a practical step-by-step program how to use this access to the astral plane to modify the events which are about to come in your life without the need to purchase anything, attend training or anything of that sort. It is only free resources and one can do everything alone at home.
Brindei pela humildade, pra não seguir sofrendo. Eu vim me apresentar perante este reino, cujo cetro é o cajado do mestre a nos guiar. Eu vim me apresentar perante este reino, cujo cetro é o cajado do mestre a nos.
The first extract, at least in modern times, from Swamp Snowdrop was made by a Bulgarian doctor a couple of decades ago, and he used it to cure disorders of the locomotion system of the human body. It was called, and it is sometimes still called, Nivalin. It is the same thing as Galantamine. The dosage that one needs to induce lucid dreaming with this herbal extract is far lower than what the patients are prescribed. Now, this extract is sold all over the world under different names, but the thing you need to look for is Galantamine in the ingredients description. So the way you can use it to induce lucid dreaming is as follows. You have to wake up somewhere in early morning. Under no circumstances take this before you go to sleep at night in the evening. You will regret bitterly. So for lucid flights, this can be taken only in early morning, and you have to find out your own dose. You can start for example, with 5 milligrams maximum, and then after that most people find out that they need to go up to 7.5 milligrams. These are the products I personally use. Nivalin from Bulgaria, it is still a few times cheaper than the products you get in the West. And the alpha GPC is in no way connected to the Galantamine. It is supposed to be also a lucid dream inducing substance. I have not tried it separately. You don't have to combine them. The Nivalin should be enough on its own. You have to make at least a minimal ritual when you take this sacred plant extract, actually. The ritual will depend on what you like to do as ritual, but it should be there. Maybe if you're too sleepy to, for example, smudge your room with natural resin incense or with native sage, depending on your location, at least you should do a mental ritual of addressing the spirit of the plant, politely asking it to take you for a flight in the dream world. And optionally, you can even fix the desired destination for landing, although if you are a beginner flyer, that is not very likely to affect your journey. The more ritual you do, the better, and more chances that you will actually get to lucid dream, because there is no guarantee that each and every time you take the pill, it will take you for a flight. For me personally, it worked, let's say, 2/3 of the time. I have not done this very often, but I do notice that when I do more ritual, it is more effective. The ritual will not only put your own psyche in mode of gratitude, which automatically implies the path of light, but it will also make changes in the space, in the room where you are situated. Even though most likely you won't be able to directly perceive them, they will be there and they will affect your journey. I'm not even sure if I should recommend to people with negative mindset, at least at the time when they take this extract, to even attempt to journey in the dreamland in such a fashion, because over there the negative wavelengths may turn into negative experience much faster than in the world in which we reside when we are awake. And by the way, that's why we got born in such a clumsy, slow world of the three dimensions, because our thought forms will be too scary if we face them too fast. So take the pill in your hand and hold it near your mouth when you talk to it, even if it is only telepathic talk. In this way, it will get programmed in a more efficient fashion. And then you take the extract and you go to bed. Now, if you're having a lucky night and you do get to lucid fly, this doesn't necessarily mean that if you wish to end up in the astral space where and when the Great Pyramid of Giza was built, you will have success. Most likely you will not, because that will require shamanic skills which need to be cultivated. How? You will find out at the end of the video. But still you will get many choices of how you react and what you do in the situation that you will end up. And lucid dreaming is completely safe. There is no danger involved. It is as safe as when you dream when you're asleep. And the main benefit for those who have not yet developed their shamanic skills is that it will reduce their fear from exploring their own psyche, their own self, with the help of sacred plants. Now, in the video about who built the Nuraghes of Sardinia, we saw that early men were dreamers, expert flyers in the astral realm. And then they were put into this assembly line time, which made them forget their shamanic skills. All early men were what a modern man would describe as a shaman. So we are their heirs, their children. Our bodies are not that different from theirs, and we are still geared and equipped for such shamanic work. And that's quite a problem for those who bank on keeping us jailed, forever shackled in assembly line time. And that is why they made the best sacred spirit plants illegal, and with very carefully crafted lies spread to the mass media, they have very successfully managed to convince most of the people that exploring your psyche even without the help of sacred plants, is quite dangerous. You're going kind of in a forbidden area. You may go crazy if you use some of these techniques, because there are many techniques, breathing techniques, meditation, and so on, or lucid dreaming, which is not induced by drugs, which are tools again to become a shaman without taking any drugs, but they have brainwashed most of the population to such an extent that when I post a video on anything like this, I've noticed it gets lots of negative votes within the first few seconds of publishing it, because people are solidly convinced that this is dangerous and crazy. They don't want to hear, they just vote down without listening. But of course, souls don't stay in ignorance forever. At some point, they decide to change and explore. And in this initial stage of overcoming the fear of exploring one's own consciousness, liberal and milder spirits, as that of the marsh snowdrop, can be very suitable for the purpose, because if such people start straight with ayahuasca, it will be just too shocking for them. Even if their ayahuasca experience is beautiful, it can still scare them seriously just because they are not used to functioning in a different dimension. Or let's compare it with magic mushrooms. Do you get to the same astral plane, the dream world, with magic mushrooms? Yes, you do. However, the nature of the spirit of many mushrooms is kind of very strong. It can overpower you. Also, mushroom journeys can be accompanied by significant bodily inconvenience, which is worth experiencing in its own right, because the reward is that the mushrooms will take you to realms which would be difficult to access otherwise. But for a beginner who wants to simply have a walk in the astral world without any special preferences where he ends up and what exactly he does, mild spirits like the Swamp Snowdrop are an excellent choice. Spirits like, for example, the Salvia or Iboga, they're quite hard. For example, the Iboga experience can be too intense for many people. Is it worth doing it? Oh yes, because then in a single ceremony within hours, one could cure addiction or sicknesses or even absolutely serious depressions, which would normally take much longer with anything else to get rid of. But if you wanna flush so much garbage at once, well, you will need a very turbulent flow, capable of scraping all this stuff on the way. The spirit of ayahuasca is quite unpredictable. You can have a mild experience, like with the snowdrop, or a rough ride if lots of healing is required quickly, and it is not even always proportionate to the amount you drink. But still, in general, to compare the Galantamine / Nivalin with ayahuasca, the Galantamine will take you on a leisurely sightseeing excursion, while ayahuasca, well, if you drink it, be aware that you are subscribing to learning and healing, sometimes in a very intense way. Mostly it will be like a tour with a fixed program, which is also sometimes a surprise, but always very, very beneficial in long run.
Ó Santo Cruzeiro, poder verdadeiro, estou a seus pés, eu peço e creio, sei que estarei no além-tempo, mas recordarei o meu intento. Ó Santo Cruzeiro, poder verdadeiro, estou a seus pés, eu peço e creio, sei que estarei no além-tempo, mas recordarei o meu intento. Meu intento é prestar bem atenção, aprendendo a ouvir mais o coração. vou florescendo nesta disciplina, louvando a glória da doce rainha. Meu intento é prestar bem atenção.
It is obvious ancient men could outperform us in many ways. Now, I'm gonna outline 3 steps following which one can develop the same abilities like them. Guaranteed. And it's also very practical because the steps outlined here will work for everybody and no matter from how low level he starts. Step number 1, get rid of all your addictions to various substances and watching TV and swallowing other mass media. A little bit of TV and media would be unavoidable, but spending daily couple of hours, this is addiction. Step number 2, try to read the set books of Jane Roberts and see if they resonate with you. Most probably they will not. You can find them here for free, and also you can download the text from various websites also for free. One needs to be pretty advanced to even start learning from them. And that is why most likely you will have to first upgrade your hardware a little bit with the help of the techniques which are outlined here for free, while necessarily including in your daily program at least 2 minutes of practice of Khechre Mudra. And while doing so, continue getting back to the works of Jane Roberts every couple of months and check when will the time come when you will finally realize, oh my god, this is the real truth. And this realization will come when enough of the mainstream programming has been erased. So the exercises from the yoga website will upgrade the hardware, and the abandonment of addictions to all kinds of substances that are addictive without exception, that will reduce the mental fog, which is usually the chief helper for central brainwashing. If you're drinking alcohol daily and you think that you are into spiritual things, unfortunately you're just deceiving yourself. The case of drinking coffee or other caffeine intake every day, the case is not that severe. However, if you want to do something meaningful in terms of spirituality, you cannot continue with caffeine or any other addiction to a substance without any exceptions whatsoever. The tribal proper use of drugs is very close to what early men did. You don't have to quit smoking. Instead of that, smoke seldom, only in ceremonial context, and only pure tobacco. Then, instead of obstacle, it will be a help on your way. You don't have to give up chocolate, cacao, and all these caffeine products. Instead of that, enjoy them in a moderate way. See my video on the truth about coffee for full details in this regard. Same like with weed, if one takes especially organic weed a couple of times per month in any form, it will actually help you elevate your spirit. However, some people, probably not all, who take it very often, end up in a whirlpool of degradation. You don't have to give up alcohol. Very recently I tried something and I was greatly surprised. I met a shaman who was brewing wild berries following old historic recipes. And for the first time in my life, I actually drank in any meaningful quantity. I believe maybe like 20 milligrams or something. I think that can be qualified as drinking strong alcohol. Before that, because the doctors ruined my liver at young age with their so-called medicines, which were nothing else but poisons in disguise, that's why if I try even 1 drop of strong alcohol from the shop on my tongue, I get immediately sharp liver pain. While from the traditional alcohol, I could take like a small shot glass, half full, and I did not get drunk and I did not get sick. So if somebody drinks that type of alcohol a few times per year, or even, let's say, even once every month, this will not be a problem. However, regular use, few times a week, this is severe mental fog. So once the fog of addictions and artificially, externally planted wrong beliefs is somewhat clear to the point that one will appreciate the path outlined in the set books, then you will be able to quickly polish your ancient rusty selves, and you will no longer need my guidance. Then you will be, from that point on, you will know how to connect with the source, reliable sources of guidance yourself. If you need sometimes a teacher in human form on the side to explain something in you, you will be able to first call that spirit in the astral realm, and then he will surely pop up in your life, even if you're a person who never meets anybody. The practice and teachings of set are structured in such a way that one cannot go into them prematurely. Although the text is open for everybody, those who are not on the required level, they will see some exercises which they will think, oh, this surely will not work, and they will never, never, never do these exercises and practices that set recommends. They will always think this is too easy, anybody can make this, but always with 100% certainty there will be some excuse or some other circumstance that will not allow them to do the practice themselves.
Servir como mestre selo de cristal. É doce a rainha, mas amarga o daime que eu bebi para recordar-me, lembrar-me do propósito espiritual. Servir como mestre selo de cristal.
So the two songs in this video are by Chandra Lacombe, whose style of singing and conducting ayahuasca ceremonies he adopted from Carioca Freitas, with whom he traveled for 5 years. Carioca by far is the person who has given me most in terms of ayahuasca. And interestingly enough, although many of the famous in the Western world contemporary ayahuasca shamans are his students, he himself doesn't even perceive his work as shamanic. He considers himself purely a musician, but actually he is the founder of an entire different style of its own of drinking ayahuasca. Initially he evolved from Santo Daime, which is way too strict for most people. Maestro Irineo, the founder of the Santo Daime, on the other hand, made a really powerful magic blend of the indigenous Amazonian ayahuasca magic, combining it with African magic due to his own African roots. And later on, Carioca added to that quite strong cocktail already the New Age ideas, which are mostly, we can say, simplified version of the teachings of Set, and also a good dosage of a mixture from the teachings of Osho. The books of whom I would highly recommend. Don't be confused by the strange stories towards the end of his life. We don't know what kind of poison or weapon might have been used on him or not. The point is that we should not allow those events to cast shadow on his absolutely brilliant writings. I don't think Osho's books can rival the Set books, just because Osho, after all, was human and his angle was bound to be a bit more restricted than the broader aspect of an entity like Set, but still, I think the Osho books are far, far deeper and more advanced than the most popular, more recent authors. The very famous, more modern authors on spirituality, however, will resonate better with the masses just because they will concentrate on a very small segment of spirituality and they will simplify it even further, and that will cater to the capacity of most modern men because they cannot actually sit long enough to read very profound books because they need to service all the time the fridge to make sure that there aren't any spirits left over there.
Entre em entendimento em minha consciência, primei pela humildade pra não seguir sofrendo. Entrei em entendimento em minha consciência, primei pela humildade pra não seguir sofrendo. Eu vim me apresentar perante este reino, cujo cetro é o cajado do mestre a nos guiar. Eu vim me apresentar perante este reino, cujo cetro é o cajado do mestre a nos guiar, pedindo a permissão para este experimento, Floresta e Oriente, unidos na sessão, pedindo a permissão para este experimento, Floresta e Oriente, unidos na sessão, a elucidação encontrei no momento, sempre ser instrumento, ensinar a seus irmãos a elucidação. Encontrei no momento, sempre ser instrumento, ensinar a seus irmãos, continuar mansinho, mirando o infinito, reconstruir o ninho da águia do ecletismo, continuar mansinho, mirando o infinito, reconstruir o ninho da águia do ecletismo, seguindo o coração e dissolvendo a trama, se por rainha e sangue, divina comunhão, seguindo o coração e dissolvendo a trama, se por rainha e prana, divina comunhão. Ó Santo Cruzeiro, poder verdadeiro, estou a seus pés, eu peço e creio. Sei que estarei no além-tempo, mas recordarei o meu intento. Ó Santo Cruzeiro, poder verdadeiro, estou a seus pés, eu peço e creio. Sei que estarei no além-tempo, mas recordarei o meu louvando a glória da doce rainha. Meu intento é prestar bem atenção, aprendendo a ouvir mais o coração. Vou florescendo nesta disciplina, louvando a glória da doce rainha.